Anybody from the media, can you give me a sound check? Anybody on Zoom? Oglala. Councilman Weston.
Thank you, Chair. Whenever I was doing my 2/3 items, I forgot to ask, and we have OST prosecutor interviews in my regular agenda items. I wanted to make a motion to see if we can move them up on the agenda to conduct those real quick. The Sergeant at Arms is going to see if Stephanie's still here. She was earlier, but I forgot to mention that whenever I was reading my 2/3 items. And the other person, Fiandra Maiden, should be on Zoom. And those are the two candidates for OST prosecutor. Everybody got a handout with their resumes. But if I could make a motion to move it up on the agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilman Weston. I'll accept it. Second by Councilman Randall. Roll call.
Donroy Gosper,
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Anna Halverson. Yes. Troy Little,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Lyle Weston,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Bo Little White Man.
Yes.
James Cross, Julian Spotted Bear. Yes. Norman Standing Soldier,
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman,
Yes.
Jackie Sears, Blaine Little Thunder,
Yes.
David Kelly,
Yes.
Jeremy Rosales,
Yes.
Beef Randall,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr.,
Yes.
David Poyer.
Yes. Seventeen yes, 2 not voting, motion carried.
Okay, so secretary is Fiandra Maiden. Is she on Zoom? Yes. Okay. We do have Stephanie here, Stephanie Hawk Janice, and
Councilman, before we jump into that, can we finish up with the banishment? I believe we just have someone online.
Yes, okay.
And then we'll jump right into your agenda.
Okay, we can wait.
So at this time, I'm turning over to Councilman Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. We finally got a hold of Mrs. Yellowbird. She was in an appointment with her niece over there in Sioux Falls, and she finally got the link, so she's on. But I'd still like to give her the floor for her comments, please. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Good
Afternoon. Sorry, we've been in a hospital since this morning.
Yes, if you can introduce yourself and you may begin.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, hello. Yeah, first off, I wanted to, I just wanted to let the council know that my brother's rights were violated because himself or nobody was there to to be there for him for this matter when he had a court date. And my biggest one is that all the other people that were convicted alongside him Not one of them are banished. A couple of them are two-time offenders. He went to treatment before he even went to prison. So he was in a process of getting himself better before, I guess he was caught, working on himself as an addict. And I really feel that he deserves a second chance to come home and to be the better person that he's trying to be for himself. He's completed treatment, he's completed all the programs in prison. He's 2 semesters away from his electrical degree with OLC. I've had his children since September. They haven't got to see him for probably over maybe 5 years prior to him going into jail. Just the situation with their grandmother and their mother. But I have now custody of them. The oldest one is 21. She's dealing with a rare cancer that needs to be monitored every 3 months in Rapid and every 6 months at the Mayo Clinic. And now I'm with his middle child over here in Sioux Falls. She's having gastro problems, so now we're having to come over here to see the specialist here in Sioux Falls. And his son, he's going to be 16 at the end of the month. And I just believe that, now that they actually have the chance to be with their father, I would like, for him to be home to be with his children. I shouldn't be raising them if he's able to be here. And the parole officer back in March had cleared him to come home because we never got like an official document stating that he was, banished from, just had the court date and this is what's going to happen there. And then she cleared him to be home. And then the next day she called and said that she got the list of the banishment and that it was, he was unable to come home now. So I don't know, I just don't think that it's fair, because if it was fair, then I'd say probably maybe a quarter of the res would be banished because of all these drugs going on. And I feel that everybody deserves a second chance to come home to be with family and to have the culture in their life to do better. And now that he's over there, he's in a man camp up in Duluth, Minnesota. The pipe was passed on to him because the person who was there prior got to go home, so they passed the pipe on to him. So I feel that he's really turned himself around and sees that that what he did was wrong. He did write an apology letter, and I'm sorry, I should have scanned it and made printouts for everybody for you. So I guess I could probably do that when I get home. But I don't know if you guys want to let his kids speak to let you know that, they would like their dad to be home with them. Just introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Lily Tibbetts. I'm the oldest, 21, in college and with the rare cancer. I just wish Dad was back home.
So I don't know if there's any questions that you guys have or anything else that I can do to help this situation or that he can do, because I think myself, knowing a few other family members going through the process of having to go to Rapid City and be at the halfway house, that I don't think that's a good place. If you're able to go home, I think that's good, instead of the halfway house, because that's not home. You're not there with family. You're still there, and things still happen over there at the halfway house from rumors that I hear, drugs and alcohol are still being used and done through there, and I don't feel that that's a place to put somebody. And if they're able to come home, I think that home's a better choice. And it's his own home. He owns the trailer. He owns, we live out in the country. So I don't know, is there anything you have to ask for? I mean, I know that. So like his girlfriend that was involved in the situation, she's back home walking the streets, walking around town, doing whatever, and she's a 2-time offender. So I just don't see, that's where I thought it was completely unfair. Because she was involved in the same situation, but yet she's home. So I just don't think that this is being fair in any way.
Any questions?
And like I said in my email, I could probably name 50 people that should be on that banishment list, or every time there's a banishment list, it should be 120 long, not 5 or 6 people's names on there, however that gets picked. But I would really appreciate your reconsideration of the situation, because I do need my brother home. And I think that he has the opportunity to be home to raise his family. I mean, I love him and everything. I'm a good auntie, and I just feel that if he has this opportunity, had it back in March, that it's a great opportunity for him. Because a lot of his alcohol and drug use came from his kids being taken away from him when they were little. So he was just a loner all alone, and that's where he turned to his friends, single friends, drugging and drinking, and just continued on to be an addict. But so I just really hope that the council would take this into reconsideration, because the banishment law is not being held accountable for. There's people that are banished that are walking around, sitting at big baths. The law's not doing anything to them. The cops are putting in gas and those people are standing right there. So I don't feel that it's making a difference or a change in any way. I guess that's all I have to say, and thank you for listening to me.
Councilman Kelly.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. You know, I just want to say, since I've been seated here, you know, I've always voted against the banishment. You know, I do feel that at some point, and I do think it's coming to our federal courts now, there's going to be some sort of case law brought forth, and I already see a little bit here and there that's coming from up north. You know, I feel bad for people, and I understand how the law came to be, and I've read it. But, you know, I can't make your vote for you or decision for you. I just did my part and got it to the floor and let my constituent have her say. And I'd like to thank you for the time. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, we're going to continue on with our agenda. At this time, I'll turn it over to the Law and Order Chair, Councilman Weston.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. So again, we will be conducting some interviews for the OST prosecutor. We have 2 applicants, and those are in your packets. The first one is Stephanie Hawk Janice, and she's present. And the second one we have on Zoom, Phaedra Madden. So I guess we'll kind of go over a little bit of the rules here for this interview. We'll give you 5 minutes to do an introduction for the candidates, and then we'll turn it over to council for questioning, and then we'll give you a few minutes to do a closing statement. So with that being said, we'll start with Stephanie Hawk Janice.
Chair, can we put the other candidate on standby,
Yes, that's,
waiting room?
yes.
Yes, and the candidate, please be aware that you should be listening to the radio. I just had to make that announcement.
Okay.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Councilman Weston, how many prosecutors are we looking to elect or select today?
That would be up to the council here, whether or not you want to accept these applicants. And there's only 2 applicants right now.
I'm just asking how many positions are open?
I think there was 3. 3 positions.
3 positions open?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Also, just a reminder, Council, that you're being consistent with your questions to all candidates.
Yes. So, good afternoon, Ms. Stephanie Hawk Janice. We'll give you 5 minutes here to do an introduction. Just press your button on your mic until the red light comes on, and you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody at home listening and council. My name is Stephanie Hawk Janice. I am from the Oglala district. I am applying for the juvenile prosecutor, tribal prosecutor today. My education is a bachelor's in Lakota studies with the emphasis in Indian law. I also have a AA in tribal law. Prior to being at my current position, I was at the Attorney General's office for 7 years. I cross-trained in criminal, juvenile, guardianship, ICs, and juvenile criminal. I worked underneath the current Attorney General for a little bit before I moved on to be in intake investigations at the Oglala Sioux Tribe Child Protective Services. That's where I'm currently at. I have the experience of assisting and preparing, filing legal documents, criminal complaints, motions, subpoenas. I worked with victims advocates. I worked with federal agents, with the CIs, and with our Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety. And with communications, I have the experience of negotiating with defense counsel, conducting victim meetings, and preparing cases, and working alongside, again, the OST law enforcement and OST criminal investigators. Implemented new procedures and technologies that improved my efficiency and streamlined operations. I have the experience in both, and with the education, I'm wanting to go back to the Attorney General's office to make a positive change with our locals, to work with the Attorney General and the other prosecutors along with the different agencies, and looking forward to moving everything forward in a positive manner and following the code as always. I believe that's the introduction.
Okay. So I guess I'll start off the questioning from council here. One question I have is, what is sovereign immunity.
Thank you for that question. At the risk of giving the wrong answer, I couldn't give you a direct answer at this time, but I look forward to learning more from the Attorney General's office when it comes to the broad range of things.
Okay. At this time, I'll turn it up on the floor for questioning. Councilman Standing So.
Good afternoon, Stephanie, and thank you for applying for the position. When a minor reaches or is introduced to the juvenile prosecutor, that means their world went down a wrong road. And we tend to blame the parent who was supposed to keep the child on the right road. But if that parent isn't in the household, then you become the disciplinarian. And it's sad to say when they reach your position that it's pretty tough. So my question is, are you going to be able to do sound judgments on the cases coming before you, taking into consideration the victims, the crime committed, and any other extenuating circumstances with a strong heart and sound mind?
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, we have youth diversion programs that are made to, well, with every case, it's a case-by-case basis. So if you're asking, you know, the upbringing or what led that certain juvenile to this circumstance, we have the youth diversion programs that if the child wasn't in school, we would get him re-enrolled. It wouldn't be pointing fingers at the parent, it would be trying to establish solutions and get him back on the right track, with being able to have the young juvenile be accountable for the offense, but not so severe where you just continue to steer him the wrong way.
I guess what I was asking is if the law says that you have to prosecute for an offense that was violated against the Oglala Sioux tribe, are you able to prosecute him to the full extent of the law?
Sorry, I misunderstood the first question. Yes, sir, I would be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. If there are no other questions, Stephanie will give you a few minutes, 5 minutes to do a closing statement if you wish. You have the floor. Oh, Councilman Little Hawk Weston has a question. Hold on.
You know, I think we've hired previous prosecutors, but it seemed like they never took the job after we hired them. And I think what we found out was the salary of the position. Was you able to look at that salary, the job description that was advertised? And are you okay with that salary? Because that's what you're going to go into. I don't know if there's any room for negotiating, but I think that's going to be up to the Attorney General. But I think we've hired previous prosecutors, and because of that salary, they didn't take it and they left. So that's my question to you, because I think we need to be upfront with you and you need to be upfront with us if that's gonna be a concern.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston. Yes, I did speak with the Attorney General and we negotiated salaries, and she did let me know what the pay would be, and that's when I continued further with my application.
You're okay with it then?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other questions? Go ahead, Councilman Puyer.
My question is not for the lady so much as that I thought the process that the Attorney General was supposed to interview these people first, then they brought it to council on the recommendations. That's what we did in the past. When they brought some Attorney General interviewed them, then they brought it to us.
If I may, I did ask Councilman Weston that earlier, if they went through the Attorney General to see how she, reviewed the applications and brought them to us here today. But I don't know if that happened, and so I think we should, well, just keep that in mind. But yeah, we did that last time, so we'll just have to, go along with, I guess, the two. I don't know, that there's two of them.
Rian, do you know if that process was adhered to?
I don't know. I know that the HR is the one that sent the names forward, so that's the limitation of my knowledge.
Because if the Attorney General doesn't recommend anybody, then we're going against what our Attorney General wants.
So is there any way we can reach out to HR? Oh, Rian's reaching out? Okay.
Yeah, give us a second here.
Chairman, maybe while legal's looking, Stephanie can give her closing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So what I want to end my interview on, I guess, is that I'm motivated, I'm a tribal law graduate, I've had experience, and I'm super nervous, and that's probably why I apologize, I'm really nervous. And thank you for listening to me in my interview today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie. I guess we'll wait for a word from legal to continue.
Rayanne's trying to make that contact right now.
Miss Hawk, are you trying to head out or what? No way. I'm not done with you yet. So you come from a distinguished line of fellow prosecutors and attorneys, right? The late Steve Hawk Sr.?
Yes.
Is he your...
Yeah, my dad.
Your dad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Prue's your mom?
Yes.
Okay. You know, the tribal council has spent the last 2 years where a lot of discussion was taking place about the juveniles, the juvenile crime, the elders that are abused in the midst of all this, you know, and running wild. What do you feel you can bring to the tribe that will bring back some accountability? Because it's not just what's going on in home. I mean, there's a lot of things that I see there, and you came from CPS, so this might even help us even more, is there's a breakdown. Even within the school systems, I know that there are kids that are not coming to school or not showing up. Even things like that that are supposed to be reported, probably to CPS, but never really seem to make it into the court system where somebody could intervene. What do you bring to us? What knowledge and experience can you bring to the tribe, to this position that will make us feel confident that you're going to do everything you can to try to intervene in that child's life to either curb their behavior or make things better in their home?
Thank you, Councilman. I believe that first, you know, upholding the law and getting them to be held accountable, but not only that is I believe that with the stipulations that can be applied to a conviction isn't only just to supposed to be all bad. A lot of it's good, and the judges work hand in hand. What's your last completed grade? Let's get you back in school. Let's get you the diversion. We have multiple treatment centers that we could get these children in and get not only address maybe the substance abuse, but not only that, like getting them back in school. And I believe the more and more that we push and address the youth behavior, the higher the chance we won't be getting reoffending where they go from youth to adult offenders. If we can focus on them and get them all the help we can do, then that reduces the risk of them becoming adult offenders, I believe.
Does that sometimes mean that you have to bring your other family members into the circle? And now we're talking youth and family court, right? Where there's other players in that circle, right, that need to be part of this diversion and part of the overall moving forward as a healthy unit, right?
Yes.
I believe we're good.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, we'll thank you again, Stephanie, for coming and doing the interview with us. And yeah, you can wait around to find out the decision of council here if you want to. But
Councilman Weston. Okay. Councilman Weston, there's a question over here.
So, Rayanne, what does that mean? We're good. Did it go through the Attorney General's office and
she's good
sent
with
everything
both.
forward?
She's good with both candidates.
So I'll make a motion that we forego the interview process and go ahead and forward both applicants on to our approval. Because if they came from the Attorney General's office, then they're good to go. The others, both of them came from the Attorney General's office according to Rayanne and were approved by the Attorney General.
I don't mind that, but I think we just got done interviewing her. So just to be fair, I think we should interview the other one on the line, even though she's online. Then we can make that motion or whatever, so just to be fair.
Yeah, that is to be fair, but just to stress a point, we are going to approve both of them. So there's no reasoning to interview the second if they're both going to go forward.
Be nice to hear from her, but yeah. Go ahead, Chair.
okay. Phaedra Megan, is she available on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, let me withdraw my motion then, that I put out there.
Okay, so Phaedra, today you're interviewing for the OST prosecutor. The process we're going to follow is we're going to give you 5 minutes for an introduction, and then we're going to turn it over to counsel for questioning, and then we'll give you a few minutes to do a closing statement. So I'll turn the floor over to you for your opening statement and background. So you have the floor.
Anpetuaste, Imachiapi Phaedra Madden. My current occupation is tribal lawyer advocate with OST courts, and I've been licensed to practice law at Pine Ridge for 2024, 25, and 26. 2 of those years were with OST Victim Services. And I take law classes in the evening via live Zoom, 5 to 8 p.m. I finished all my law classes except for family law. I already did criminal court, civil court, Indian law, legal research, all those are all done. So in December, I will have finished all the credits required for the AA tribal law with OLC. And recently, I did an internship at Pierre in the state capitol for the legislative session with the House of Representatives. Did you have any questions?
Okay, if you're done with your opening session, we'll open it up for questioning here. I guess I'll start the questioning off. What is sovereign immunity?
It means that we're a nation within a nation, and we have that sovereign immunity to make our own laws and ordinances.
Okay, we'll open it up to the council floor for questioning. Norman, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Phaedra. Being fair for both applicants, I'm gonna ask you to basically the same question that I asked the first applicant. And that is based on the merits of a case, and you see all the issues that are coming forward, will you be able to make a sound decision on the case and prosecute it to the full extent of the law?
Yes, I do work with the prosecutors quite a bit, and I do like to see it prosecuted to the fullest extent.
Okay, very quickly, just to add on, what do you think is the main focus of the prosecutor's office?
Based on the individual cases, they determine whether or not the person is a criminal that must be tried in court. And they can also do plea deals. They show up in criminal court for arraignments on Tuesdays usually, and Thursdays bench trial. Very important to be on time. And very important to prosecute the people who have pending charges. To give them a fair trial.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Sonia?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Phaedra. I guess I'm going to ask you, a question that I asked the other applicant, is that we always hire or appoint prosecutors, but when they get appointed by the tribal council, sometimes they don't take the position of the prosecutor because of the pay, the salary. I wanted to know, I guess, have you had the chance to look at the job description and meet on the salary scale? Have you had a chance to look at that, and are you okay with the salary that's, on
Yes.
the prosecutor?
Yes, I know that the Attorney General said they recently raised it, and I'm okay with the salary. I know well that they have to get some prosecutors in there.
Okay, thank you. So you did look at it and you're agreeable to it. So just wanted to know that, ask that question. Thank you.
Hello, Phaedra. This is Councilman Greenwald. My question to you is, it's kind of a comment and question. With all the things going on in our communities across the reservation, dealing with juvenile crime, assaults and different things, there's been elder abuse, amongst other things that are happening in our communities, and council is very concerned about that, and they want to take a hard line on juvenile crimes. But within that, you also have youth and family courts, and you have another dynamic in that circle, which we call family. And that means there's either parents or grandparents that are guardians. As a juvenile prosecutor, what knowledge do you bring and experience do you bring to the position of juvenile prosecutor that will help address the juvenile crime and also the family unit for the tribe?
Yes, family court is an interest of mine, especially since I'm a part-time foster parent. I've had 9 different foster children, and so I'm used to working with the teens. I've done elder abuse cases before, and used to working with those too. And so I think that I have a lot of experience with the youth because of that. I only took 12 years old on up when I was doing the foster parenting. Right now I don't have any kids with me. They've all been returned to their family by now.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, Phaedra will give you a little bit of time, 5 minutes to do a closing statement if you wish.
Pilamaye, I don't really have any closing statement.
Okay, well, thank you for coming with us and then interviewing for the prosecutor position, and we'll be in contact with you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chairman, that's all we had from Law and Order.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Stanislaw.
Rayanne, how would the motion read?
Yeah, you want to read?
There's a resolution here if you want to read that.
Yeah, a motion for that resolution be read.
Okay. Are we gonna read them separate? Are we gonna accept them or? Okay. Okay.
They are separate draft resolutions. The only difference is the names. I'll read the resolution. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the appointment of Phaedra Madden to the Oglala Sioux Tribe prosecutor position. And you have the sovereignty clause, section 16 clause, article 4.5 clause, whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe Attorney General's office is responsible for the prosecution of violators of tribal laws in tribal courts.
Yeah.
And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe Attorney General's office has a prosecutor.
I'm on a
vacancy.
law and order
You need
meeting.
You need to mute yourself or. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe Attorney General office has a prosecutor vacancy, and whereas the Tribal Council has reviewed the applicant's application and conducted an interview and has determined that the applicant meets the requirements for the position, now therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council does hereby approve the appointment of Phaedra Madden to the vacant prosecutor position for a period of 3 years under the supervision of the OST Attorney General with compensation as budgeted. Certification.
Motion. Motion by Councilman Weston, second by Councilman Standing Soldier. Question? Go ahead, Councilman Tweer.
Are they entitled to benefits since they're politically appointed? I just wanted to ask.
Answer is yes. Secretary, roll call.
Don Wright Goldsberg.
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.
Yes.
Anna Halverson. Troy Little. Craig Dillon. Lyle Weston.
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Bo Little White Man.
Yes.
James Cross. Jillian Spotted Bear.
Yes.
Norman Standing Soldier.
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman. Jackie Sears.
I wasn't here during the interviews, but I listened to the radio, so.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Yes.
David Kelly.
Yes.
Jeremy Rosales.
Yes.
Beef Randall.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr. David Puyer.
$16 yes, 1 no, 2 not voting, motion carried.
The second resolution for Stephanie Hott. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the appointment of Stephanie Hott Junice to the Oglala Sioux Tribe prosecutor position, sovereignty clause, section 16 clause, article 4.5 clause. The Oglala Sioux Tribe's Attorney General is responsible for the prosecution of violators of tribal laws in the tribal court, and whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe Attorney General's office has a prosecutor vacancy, and whereas the tribal council has reviewed the applicant's application and conducted an interview and has determined that the applicant meets the requirements for the position, now therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council does hereby approve the appointment of Stephanie Hawk Janice to the vacant prosecutor position for a period of 3 years under the supervision of the Attorney General with compensation and budget certification.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Weston, second by Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston. Councilman Weston, second by Sonia. Roll call.
Donroy Gosper,
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Anna Halverson.
Yes.
Troy Little. Craig Dillon. Lyle Weston.
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Bo Little White Man.
Yes.
James Cross. Jillian Spotted Bear.
Yes.
Norman Standing Soldier.
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman. Jackie Sears. Blaine Little Thunder.
Yes.
David Kelly.
Yes.
Jeremy Rosales.
Yes.
Beef Randall.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr.
Yes.
David Puyer.
Seventeen yes, two no, motion carried.
Thank you, Chair. That's all we have for right now.
Okay, we'll continue on with the agenda here. Let's see, Secretary's office. At this time, I'll turn it over to Secretary.
I don't know if Stacy wants to pick these back up, have these picked up. Where's Ed?
Good afternoon, Council. Before you, I have a request for approval for Tribal Council minutes for June 9th, 15th, and 30th. And,
Motion by
and July 1st.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, July 1st.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Dillon, second by Councilman Lunderman. Roll call.
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Anna Halverson,
Yes.
Troy Little,
Yes.
Craig Dillon, Lyle Weston,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
James Cross, Jillian Spotted Bear,
Yes.
Norman Standing Soldier,
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman,
Yes.
Jackie Sears, Blaine Little Thunder,
Yes.
David Kelly,
Yes.
Jeremy Rosales, Beef Randall,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr.,
Yes.
David Puyer,
Yes, 1 not voting, motion carried.
Item number 2, Executive Committee minutes for June 3rd, 5th, 22nd, and 24th, 2026. Request for approval.
Motion by Councilman Dillon, second by Councilman Standing Soldier. Roll call. Vote, you got a question?
Thank you. I don't see in my email any of the meeting minutes for the executive board.
There's a booklet that was emailed out to all of you, and in there, if you go through it, hold on, I got to look for when I sent it out to you guys. Monday, I apologize, I get so much emails, I gotta find the right one, but I did email it out to everyone, and the format goes that it has a cover sheet, it has table of contents for both tribal council and the executive board minutes.
If you have time, can you just maybe resend it to me?
I'll do that,
Thank
because I
you.
do have it. It said, I sent it out at 6:04 PM.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Okay.
Roll call.
Donroy Gosper,
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.,
Yes.
Anna Halverson,
Yes.
Troy Little,
Yes.
Craig Dillon, Lyle Weston,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Jillian Spotted Bear,
Yes.
Norman Standing Soldier,
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman,
Yes.
Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Blaine Little Thunder,
Good.
David Kelly,
Yes.
Jeremy Rosales, Beef Randall,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr.,
Yes.
David Queer.
Seventeen yes, 2 not voting, motion carried.
That is all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Secretary. Moving on to the next agenda item, we have the comptroller.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tony Montlow, OST Acting Comptroller. I think the biggest thing I had to report this year, or this month, was the UEI. After 4 months, on July 15th, it did get activated. I believe there were some concessions made that we have to transition into one. In getting that UEI, I want to thank Troy Ferguson. He provided information that identified our physical location. Rilda Hill issued a invoice with our physical address. Who else? So there was Jennifer Parisian, who referred me to Julie Ramey, and Julie's able to make changes at a national level, but it took 4 months. Immediately after getting the UEI activated, I reached out to Tani Zimica and said we need to do drawdowns. We got hers taken care of. I believe I'm still waiting for some of her vouchers so people can get paid. The second thing on that that I feel is real important is our indirect cost proposals for the last 5 years. We are still at IBC. They're negotiating. They still have questions on 2020 and 2021. As they send them, I answer them and get them back. I, at 1 o'clock, stepped out for a call with Baker Tilly. We have it every week at 1. We are still on schedule to get the 24 done next month, the end of August, maybe first week of September. And then we could say we are not behind in audits. It's up to this governing board to identify who is going to do the 25 audit, because we've already started cash reconciliation for 25. And I don't want to sit. We're moving, and we're moving fast, and the staff upstairs at contracts, at property and records everywhere are working so fast, and we have a momentum that we're catching up to ourselves. So we're hustling with daily work, working in 24 and 25. One of the things that Baker Tilly did do was they identified, the programs, the CFA. And one of the things for 2024 that I'm in need is like the award, any documentation, all documentation for Fund 846 for the year 2024. And we have nothing on site in records anywhere, and that would be the summer food program. So I might need to visit with Ms. Halverson and getting any of the records she has. I visited with Ken Locke and Tina Merdanian, Ms. Merdanian, in getting all, so through the month of July, there are no outstanding drawdowns on the list provided to me from BIA, but I do have questions on that when I log into ASAP for BIA money. In the year 2024, there's amounts out there. I realize those are amounts for operations that the grant started in 2024, but they're telling me I can't draw them. Do you have a question, son? Oh, okay. I just thought I missed it. My audits, my drawdowns, the UEI, indirect cost proposal, and anything else that was requested by Baker Tilly. Now, I guess, does anyone have questions for me?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
What is the current negotiated IDC rate?
We're still using the same one, that 29.72 from BIA.
So that was never renegotiated with all the changing IDC?
Right, earlier in this council meeting, there was an approval. I think it came from Ms. Juliana, Finance, and it was approved by resolution that Shane would do the lump sum negotiation, and that would be for 26.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Spotted Barrett and Councilman Greenwald.
Just to give some clarity to that, there was a lump sum agreement that was made prior to the current comptroller that the council did agree to. However, we did discuss negotiations and moving forward with further negotiations.
Councilman Greenwald.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know between Cora, yourself, and maybe our committee chair and our chief of staff and the bombing range program to put this thing to rest and make sure that everything is done that needs to be done on our behalf. My understanding is that there's a lady that works for the state of South Dakota that is willing to come down and do some training in this area. It sounds like it's something that's going to be coming from the Trump administration for waste, fraud, and abuse and cybersecurity type issues that are coming, and that eventually all funding that comes down to federal government is going to have to go through this in the future. So I don't know what needs to happen. I don't want us to lose a program that could potentially bring millions of dollars to help clean up the bombing range. But as of today, it's my understanding that the number was inputted into the system and it worked, but there's still one more part that needs to be done. And so I don't know if it's something that has to come between you, Cora, and maybe our chair could kind of sit in on this and try to remedy this once and for all. That would be so awesome.
That just came to my attention yesterday, and I visited. We had the chief of staff, Sean, myself, and Carl from our IT department. And we have a call, I believe it's scheduled for tomorrow or Thursday, but I guess we can ask, cannot remember her name right offhand, but she's the lady who set it up. Maybe if anyone wants to be invited, they could reach out to Sean. He would have her information and get invited to the Teams or Zoom, whatever she's setting up.
So if possible, Chad, I'd like to have our Finance Committee Chair sit in that call too, if you would. Thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Yeah, you know, Tony, last week in Finance, we did have the bombing range come to the meeting, was very concerned about what Mr. Councilman Greenwald was talking about. And one of the things that he did mention to the committee is that they've been in contact with you through email and been trying to reach out to you, but you never replied. And he was very, very frustrated because we know that you were on Sundance leave all last week. And one of the things that I think the Finance Committee today needs to address with yourself and probably the treasurer is we always need to make sure we're letting the council know who's in charge upstairs. So when you're gone, you should put maybe correspondence maybe to the secretary or to the president and CC the council or something that I am going to be on Sundance leave, but when I am gone, so-and-so has signature authority upstairs. These rectors are getting very, very frustrated because that's not happening. And Mr. Swallow is one of them. And he did come and he did say they've been in contact. He was saying with you too. And you have never replied to anything that Mr. Greenwald was talking about with this lady that wanted to come down and do this training. We did bring in the IT that day and we did talk to them. And they were willing to help and to do whatever they can to assist him. I think the treasurer did send us a text to tell us exactly that you were on Sundance leave and that she wasn't, she was sick at home. But when this stuff happens, we always need to make sure that we have somebody that's in backup upstairs, that you don't just leave and say, well, I'm gone, I'm gonna be on leave. You know, that's just like a program. When a director is gonna be gone, they do a memo to say to the chief of staff that so-and-so is in charge. But that don't happen nowadays. And it's becoming a frustration. And today I'm just gonna have to be a little bit blunt about it. And I don't know whichever way it goes. But we need to start being a little bit more professional and working with the outside people, because they are the ones that fund our programs and fund the tribe for all the services that need to happen with our programs. And I'll tell you that didn't happen too well on Thursday. So again, I'm just sharing that with you. He's had emails, he showed that they've been trying to get a hold of you, but you have not responded to anything, is what he mentioned to us. So again, just going to share that with you. I think for the future, as our acting comptroller, you need to make sure that anytime you're gone, that you will leave that in place so that we know that you're going to be gone. Because ultimately, this council is over you when you're in the comptroller position, whether it's acting or you're in it. So I just wanted to say that today, that on behalf of the directors that are very frustrated because they're not getting anything done upstairs. So just sharing that with you. But hopefully we can get that done. We did take some action, I think, on Thursday with the Finance Committee. So I'm hoping that it's going to move in that direction. So we can, I'm hoping, and I'm glad that you said you just now found out about it, so it's kind of surprising me here. But I think you need to look back at the emails that they've been sending you. Thank you.
Yes. I also want to comment on that because I also got the same response. Where's the comptroller? Where's the treasurer? And I know this body here drills me when I don't do those things. But we always put a letter out there delegating authority. So that applies to all, the leadership here. You know your responsibilities, and we need to hold you accountable when those processes are not followed. So that's just a reminder, nobody's above the system here. So please, if you're gonna take a leave of absence, please delegate someone so we don't run into this problem again. Thank you, Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Thank you, President. So I did notify the committee that Tony would be out on spiritual leave. However, I've mentioned this to the treasurer on several occasions, that when either of you are gone, it identifies a single point of failure. When we sit in Finance Committee, we are unable to provide answers or solutions to the issues that are at hand. And I mentioned it before, your office was to hire an assistant or somebody to work with you. And had that been done, that would not be the case today. Where are you at with hiring an assistant as we have the CPA/comptroller advertised?
Okay, in response to everything, I actually went down to visit the president and let him know maybe that first week of June, before it was even the Battle of Little Bighorn or Greasy Grass, and we put it up on his board. And I said Annie would be the point of contact for AP and Cheryl would be dealing with day-to-day stuff. But it's neither here nor there. I was where I was, and if I thought, because I wouldn't be at that financial management handbook, and the Thursday before I announced it at finance that I wouldn't be there. We have been looking, I have been asking, I approached different individuals who work at OLC, housing, anywhere. We are looking for a payroll liaison, which is someone who can help. They need to have a 4-year degree. That's what the job description requires. You also need to have very strong Excel skills. You have to, people might say it's picky or my way or petty, but we get templates, like say an example is from Department of Labor. They give you a template and you can't have a space, any other character. Or when you try to upload on their website, it says rejected. And basically you have to go back in and reformat and redo the whole thing. So Michelle at HR has helped me. I've gone out personally and asked people. If anyone knows, please apply.
So your position, the position for the assistant is being advertised where?
I guess I'm confused because you all have the indirect cost budget, and in there, I did not see the assistant comptroller in there. I saw the payroll liaison, which was Ariel Clifford.
So Miss Clifford would be your assistant, is what you're saying?
We worked 3 jobs, yes. She left for a higher pay, less work at housing.
Okay, so you mentioned Miss Clifford, but Miss Clifford is no longer there, so the job is vacant. And there's no position for an assistant. However, at the beginning of this administration, we did motion to support and pass a resolution for an assistant to the comptroller. And we still have not seen one as of yet. Where is that position being advertised?
How many times have we redone that? We went down to 64 hours, so the budget is no longer can support that. So the position that was in there was the payroll liaison.
And the payroll liaison is being advertised by HR?
No, I don't think we're on a hiring freeze. Indirect cost is on a hiring freeze. So if we can find someone, we can put them in temporary. They still have to meet the qualifications.
So if you're going to be gone, who do you send your letter of delegation to? I know you let me know verbally, and I let the committee know, but for record purposes and signature authority, who do you send your delegation to?
To my supervisor, Cora, and those people that are up there. But again, like I said, I walked to the president's office and put it on his calendar.
And in several instances, the treasurer has not been there. So who's after that?
I don't answer for Cora, but when I leave, that's the longest I've been gone this whole year.
So I believe the concern is you don't have a delegation that you have identified when you are gone, whether it be one time a year or once a week or once every other week. Either way, when you're gone, who is next in line is what needs to be identified.
Cheryl Whistler deals with the day-to-day vouchers, requisitions, purchase orders, has signatory authority. Annie, who will be leaving this week, is the individual who will run the AP, and then Roseanne does payroll.
Understand, but for record purposes...
The letter goes to you, want it to come to you. I know Ms. Weston just said that. Am I missing the question, or am I not giving you the right answer?
We're trying to identify as the finance committee who's next in line, and I don't believe I'm out of place by questioning your authority as a finance committee. We just want to ensure that accurate services are being followed and given to the people, and that's what we're running into, is being able to answer questions. And I think I'm completely in place to ask you those questions so that we can do our follow through, ensure that we're providing accurate answers to the people. And that's why I'm asking those questions.
Did I answer it? Because I asked that Cheryl do the day-to-day. Olivia will do her normal contracts. If there is something that's that major, then it would go to Cora.
So Cheryl can come to the meetings in lieu of you being out of office.
I guess we've never had to deal with that, but yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Halverson.
Thank you for clarification. For clarification purposes, you mentioned that Cora is your supervisor, but I thought in the past it was clarified that council is the comptroller supervisor.
No, we have an organizational chart, and the comptroller position is a merit employee.
So for some reason I thought when Dean was the comptroller, we had the same conversation about who is the supervisor. Do we have that on record, Stacy? Because I thought it was clarified that council was comptroller supervisor.
Can you answer that, Councilwoman Spotted Bear?
Yes, I'd like to. So until we update our personnel policy and procedures, the council is the oversight of the comptroller through a resolution. So, and that's how, by ordinance. Okay, then I'll correct that, by ordinance.
Okay, so just to clarify, treasurer is not your supervisor. Also, I did get a text message from a few members that says vendors have been going to committee because Olivia has questions about some of their workmanship. Do you know if there's any payments being held up in Olivia's office?
When I started, I did do it by memo, and I said anyone that's in the chain, when it comes in, logged in at Annie's office to Olivia's back, logged in accountant Olivia's back to me, and then to Annie, that there be no more than a 24-hour turnover. I mean, if you get it at 4 o'clock, you should by all rights have it out the next day. So at this point, no. I have looked whenever people ask, and I've tracked things down, but it's been a while. Nobody's come to me and said that POs were being held up, or requisitions, or vouchers.
Okay, thank you.
What was that Comptroller? Your
It
report?
is, as far as, if no one else has questions.
Motion to approve by Councilman Dillon. Second by Councilman Poyer. Roll call.
Don Ragosper,
No.
George Dreamer Jr., Anna Halverson,
No.
Troy Little,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Lyle Weston,
No.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Yeah.
Bo Little White Man, James Cross, Jillian Spotted Bear,
Yeah.
Norman Standing Soldier,
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman,
Yes.
Jackie Sears,
Yeah.
Blaine Little Thunder,
Yes.
David Kelly,
No.
Jeremy Rosales, Beef Randall,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr.,
No.
David Poyer.
Yes.
Nine yes, 7 no, 3 not voting, motion carried. Thank you, Comptroller.
When you have a chance, you're gonna need to.
Okay, moving on to our next agenda item, we have the treasurer.
Good afternoon. I believe Stefan or Sean came and passed out the reports earlier. At the beginning of the report are the bank statements. Edward Jones, First National, Native American Bank with check copies. Then after that is the revenue report. including the general fund, the set-aside funds, and the marijuana funds. And then the last one is the general fund report, the budget summary, to show you where you are. I was all raring to go this morning, and the later it got, the more tired I got. So, whatever questions you have on any of the reports or whatever, I will answer. Secretary,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I think one of the big things across the reservation is there money for school clothes?
if you look at your report, especially the revenue report, you will see that there is no money for school clothes.
Yeah,
President?
I thought that the people needed to hear it straight from the treasurer.
Right.
So we're always being asked that.
There's not money within the budget. I was just informed by Lyle that the president did a grant for school clothing.
Did you let her know about that letter that went to the tribe in the south on the school clothes?
Yeah, we did submit, we're gonna put it on a letterhead and respond and see what we can do for school clothing. So that's in the process. Councilman, standing's over.
Good afternoon, Cora. So Edward Jones is in at $999,621.78. Is that our rainy day money?
It's the start of our contingency fund. It's not that much, but we started out with like, I believe it was about 400,000.
477.
Yeah, and then, so it's the start of the contingency fund that has been discussed several times. So I don't recommend that you pull it down for anything at this time, because there may come a point when we actually don't get revenue.
No, the only reason I'm pointing it out is that is a great idea to keep it for contingency. And people need to know that it's there. That way, that when they ask, we have $1 million sitting somewhere, why ain't we using it? They know the reasoning why. So that's the future. The future. Thank you.
Councilwoman Sears?
I guess I had one more question. It's just regarding the multi-purpose building funding. I think our district took action and we developed a resolution to come forward. And I think she wanted to meet with you regarding our chair, Mary Tobacco, to meet with you on the 500,000 because our current, what do you call project manager, O'Brien, he wants to do the purchasing for us, but I believe that our district might, want to look around for better prices and kind of pick out what we feel our district needs. So with that, the question is that allowable? Can we do that? Because our district supported it in our district meeting, and that's what we want to do.
That is allowable. It's totally allowable. You guys can work with your project manager to pick out your, they call it FF&E, fixtures, furnishings, and equipment. If it's still in your budget, because at the beginning or kind of towards the middle of these projects, some of the construction and project managers worked with the districts and moved that money over into the construction. So you just make sure that it's in there to do that. Otherwise, you won't be able to. Some districts did ask their project managers to do their purchasing, and like Lakcreek, they did their purchasing here, and I think it's really nice. So you can do that, and I did talk to Mary a couple times about that. So.
And I think, you know, from what I know is the funding is still available in our budget because they've been keeping an eye on that. So, okay, I'll let them know. Thank you.
Councilwoman, with all question.
Yeah, I just want to thank Lakcreek for these really comfortable chairs that we're sitting in today. And so I'm glad to know that they had the authority to purchase their own whatever equipment, whatever in their building. So I guess with what my colleague is saying is our district wants to do the same. So I think they do have a plan in place, and I think that's why they wanted to meet with you, Mary. So I think, okay, so I know we have a plan, so I just want to say that, you know, these are really some nice, comfortable, who approved the plan after their...
No, you guys, you work with them. No.
Oh, the council?
The council members work with your district and your project manager.
Is that under the agreement that we signed?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm hoping they're listening, so that way they know that we will work with them on it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a comment just off of the multi-purpose buildings. And I know when I was in the districts, this is what I was pushing for Oglala, was to get emergency generators in these buildings. Because what did we just have? We just had a power outage, and it kind of affected a lot of people along the border here. That's probably something we should probably be looking into in the future, is emergency backup power, because without emergency systems in place, this building's, it's not going to go nowhere. If we have a weather, whether it be a cold weather, tornadoes, whatever, we don't have those things in place as a backup. We're just sitting here in a shell. So, Councilman Greenwald.
Thank you, Chair, for bringing that up. I think most of all, we need to learn how to be patient. You know, we talk about our Lakota ways, and we talk about generosity and treating one another and stuff like that. When we start threatening the very people that are putting their lives on the line, that are trying to get the power up as soon as they can in a safe way, you know, and then you get the letter from Nebraska Public Power stating, you know, if this continues, we're not going to be able to do any work at night. We have to wait till daylight just because of we're concerned of the safety of our employees. That's sad. You know, what have we come to? And you know, our people in Pine Ridge, if you don't know our infrastructure yet, when the power goes down, the pumps go down that pump the water to our towers and everything. So if you have water in the towers and stuff, those levels start dropping, and so we lose water as well. So it affects both. And certainly nobody could know when a lightning's going to strike our electricity and blow it out. We don't know that. Nobody knows. When's the last time it's happened in our community? It's not something that happens all the time. But when it does, we need to be patient, and we need to, you know, do whatever we can to help matters, not make them worse. And right now, this is the week where we have one of our biggest celebrations. And it's because of people like that are going around doing these things that make this council want to move our celebration somewhere else. It's what gives our concern to our community members that are worried about the safety of even their own children and our own families. You guys that are out there that like to go out and raise Cain, you know, knock it off. We're trying to have a good time. We're trying to have a good celebration for our people that deserve that. It's only once a year. So this message goes out to them. The rest of us, we need to be patient. It was 10 o'clock at night, go to bed. Shower in the morning. Things will be worked out overnight. Good God, calling council reps at 11, 12 at night, 1 in the morning. When you know that there's people out there working on it, be patient. Be courteous. Be loving people. Not the way we're going is not good. The social media stuff is not good. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Thank you, and thank you for that sheet regarding what happened. I think the staff was out there pretty late working. Cora, I had a question on several things, and this was supposed to be for the comptroller, but also as the manager of the tribal funds. According to the current financial management manual, the finance chair, the president, as well as yourself and the comptroller were to be a part of the negotiations. However, as a finance chair, I'm never notified of meetings. I don't have anything on record that I was notified, and I can't accept verbal as notification. However, I would like to be a part of those meetings so that I'm able to report properly back to the committee. So in the future, if that can be addressed.
For clarification, negotiations for...
Oh, my apologies, for the indirect cost budget.
Okay, on the indirect cost budget, Parnell and Associates was a consultant that was hired, and they do the consultation meetings with IBC. All we do is provide the documentation to back up our arguments or to make the arguments to Parnell, and then she goes back and negotiates.
Okay, so I believe as a finance committee, we should be involved in that. Those were a lot of the questions that were surrounding what the discussion this weekend or during finance meeting that could have been answered if the comptroller was there, but also if I was aware as well, or the co-chair also. I did have a question regarding when, as the manager of the tribal funds, can you answer, is it required of the treasurer to seek council approval to transfer money?
No, it isn't.
Okay. And I might have more questions. I just needed to ask that right off the top. Thank you.
Were you done, Councilwoman?
Sorry,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, Councilman Little White Man?
Oh, okay. Mine is just going back to the district centers. My little gripe on the whole thing is are the phone services, right? Because with the blackouts and any further, God forbid, any further emergencies, I would see that these district centers would be like a hub during those times, and without a hard landline, when the power goes down, we're without phone service. But with a hard line, when the power goes down, at least we still have communication set up, yeah? So without that hard line, when the power goes out, so does the Wi-Fi. And then without the Wi-Fi, there's no phone service. So that's my whole little gripe on it, And so until OLT is like setting up hard lines in the buildings, I'm always going to push for the hard line, or with Golden West, either or. But that hard line is important when it comes to emergency situations. That's just a comment.
Can I add to that? Because I've had district executive boards approach me and ask if they dig their own line, can they get Golden West? I referred them to the committees because I don't know if, the council stopped Golden West from working on the reservation, and I don't even know if they would create a new connection or if the council would allow it if they dug their own lines. So I just referred them to committees.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
You know, I just want to say that with this new building that we're sitting in, they did the wiring of this building. OLT did the phone and the internet capacity. So today when we're sitting here getting our Wi-Fi internet, you're getting it. And so I just want to say that we need to have confidence in our tribal business that we're trying to move forward with the OLT. And I think that EB&D committee did take action a while back to have our programs utilize OLT for that purpose. And so I'm hoping that 9 districts would do the same thing, multi-purpose buildings, and I'm hoping our district would do the same thing too, Wakbamni. You know, I'm going to speak out on that too, you know, because I really believe that we need to give them the opportunity to move forward. And these are our own people, tribal employees working in this OLT, and also they are out there trying to let the people know what they're all about. And to me, I think that they're maybe not ways ahead like Golden West, but you know, they're still our tribal business and our tribal employees, and we should have that confidence in allowing them to do that to our buildings. So I just want to share that they did this building, and that's why they have their phone service and their Wi-Fi services. So I'm just going to share that with the council, but I know EB&D took that action, and that was shared with the chief of staff to put that out there to the program. So that's kind of where it is, and thank you, Cora, for referring that to the committee.
Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Thank you. I did say I would have more questions. Regarding our restricted and non-restricted accounts, when they are governed by a resolution or an ordinance, and I did state earlier that you are the manager of all our funds, at what point when we have a restricted account and we're utilizing it for events such as a Wachipi or large participation events, are you following the guidelines of that restricted account guidelines and letting the committee or the council or anybody asking to utilize those funds? And I'll give an example, the motor fuels tax.
I think I gave a history of that this weekend. The motor fuels tax, originally it was brought and made in John Steele's administration, and at that time in the agreement it said that it would be used specifically for road repair and road maintenance. As the agreement went on, it changed gradually over the years, and now there's no mention of road repairs or road maintenance in the agreement. So it's not as restricted as it used to be.
Okay, and then our 2% right to work fee, that is not a restricted account. The concern with employees are paying into it, but they have no say in where that spending is being done. This body spends that money with no input from their districts or their communities or even the staff who pay into it. What's your suggestion regarding the 2% right to work fee?
I think if it's such a hardship for people, and right now with how much everything is, and I know there's always an argument about tribal education and the right to work fee for teachers because it's not all schools that are paying in. And even the tribe, it's not that fair because IHS doesn't pay, Pine Ridge School doesn't pay, all the state schools don't pay. So the only employees that actually pay are tribal, casino, and Oyate Store, Eastwind Casino, and Lakota Prairie Ranch. All other businesses do not pay. So if you want to be fair, I would take it out.
Stop the 2%?
Right. For all, the whole reservation, including education. But that also means that would take revenue away, and to replace that, you'd have to find a different source.
Take revenue away from where?
Away from the tribe. Because it pays for tribal education, it pays for supplemental, it paid for diabetes contracts for closeout, it pays when we have to do a special project. It pays for whenever there needs to be something done. The education, 2% pays for graduation, the 250 or whatever they get for graduation.
So just, not to cut you off, but just to be clear, if we were to stop the 2% right to work fee for education, the graduating students would not receive a payment for successfully completing their academic requirement.
Right, unless the tribe finds a source of revenue, because right now, our revenue sources are slim, very slim.
Okay, and then we were talking about the district buildings, and Sonia did mention OLT being utilized, and I was receiving some text messages from some of your community members. They said they'd like to be involved in that communication and not just Calico. And so I just want to put that out there. I got a couple of messages coming in while I'm speaking. And also, OLT has not been paid for any work provided to any of the tribal programs as of yet. However, they are still doing the work and they have not been paid. Is there a reason why they have not been paid?
You would have to ask a program director why they have not been paid. If they receive an invoice, then they send the invoices down on vouchers. Normally, they do the requisition to get the service. If they're doing the work without a purchase order, then, and they don't get an invoice, then they don't have a way to pay. But as long as they're following the process, doing their requisition and getting the purchase orders before the work is done, then they can submit the invoices on AP vouchers to get paid. But I don't know what process they're following. I don't sign requisitions until they come back as POs. And I haven't seen a voucher for OLT from any program.
So do you believe it's a matter of training?
It could possibly be.
Okay.
Because I can't really answer that because I don't know where. I mean, they haven't done any work for our office, but if there's a program specifically, I can check on it and ask where they are in the process.
Okay. So I just want to be clear, if we were to stop the 2% right to work fee across the board, that would mean there would be graduating students who completed successfully their academic requirements would not receive that check anymore unless we find another source. Thank you.
I had a question real quick on that 2% situation, and of course, and I want to thank you all for the ones that attended this weekend's work session, financial work session. Thank you for attending. You know, there was a lot of good discussion this past weekend and we asked a lot of questions brought up, as you can see from the chair here. One thing I'm curious about is there a report from the entire 2% on how that's I guess divided into, and how just the whole rundown of the program?
I told you I would get one this week, so I'll take it to finance on Thursday of where it comes from and what it's spent on.
Okay, that'd be great. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. But I do want to say, when I talked earlier, I didn't mention Calico, even though I grew up there. That's from my community. So thank you, whoever that is out there that asked that question. I was talking about the district of Wakbami. I didn't mention Calico community, although I know that's God's country there, community. But I also want to ask the treasurer a question here on the bank balances. I always look at the bank balances every time we get a report from her, and we do have quite a few items that are in minus. And I'm kind of just concerned, you know, we have a couple of our businesses, tribal businesses that the tribe owns, and I really think we need to get a printout of the expenditures of the two businesses. What are we spending there? You know, because one report will be kind of in the black, and next time we see it's in the red. And so what really concerns me is one of them is kind of a little higher this time around. And I know you told us last time that you purchased refrigerator and all of this, so I really would like to maybe see something, maybe you could bring it at Finance Committee, is a breakdown of all of what we spent for both of them probably, to show us what we're spending in there, because we don't know what we're spending until we see the report. But we should have money coming in, so we need to see something to our two businesses. So that's my question, I guess, for the treasurer, and hopes that we can get a report maybe on Thursday with a itemized expenditure report from our two tribal businesses. I see that our general fund is in a red again.
Can I make a comment on those?
Yeah,
businesses?
so could we?
I would really appreciate it if we could get that CPA contract for the stores signed, so we can make contact with them to have them start at the ranch and Oyate General. But I know it was approved by council last month, but we have not received it yet.
Whose desk is it sitting on, or where's it at?
I don't know. I've asked the president at the special meeting, but he said he never got it.
Secretary, do you know about that? That contract, or what was submitted on the CPA?
I think it was called OSMA or something like that. Yeah, OSMA.
With the Finance Committee?
It was passed at council.
Yeah, passed at council.
Last month, at the regular meeting.
So if we can get that forwarded, so they can get the contract signed, so we can get moving on the two businesses.
Right.
That was for the two businesses, but yeah, it just really, just kind of wanted to ask those questions of the treasurer on our two tribal businesses. And I think that we were just looking at I was looking at the revenue too, report. And I know what you're saying, it's pretty minimum. But at the same time, we have our general fund budget that budget that you send us or give us every month, and we're just looking at it too. And we see that there's some items within the tribal council that are really in a minus too. And I think we need to take just a reminder for the council. I think they're some are in a minus with travel. And I don't know if we're going to allow for modifications in those items. I think at one time we were told that there was some council that took from their federal monitors' travel and put it into their travel. So are they going to still be allowed to at least do some of this stuff to get their business done till we're out of office in November?
It's your budget.
So you're saying that
you make the decision on your budget.
Okay, so we can modify from one item to put into your travel. Okay, to conduct business.
Except for salaries, you can't take from salaries and you can't take from fringe.
Okay, all right. So I just want to make that, just to hear from the treasurer on that, because I know we had questions last time, but I guess that's how you can move your money around in your budget. I'll have some more questions, but I'll save time.
Councilman Stanislas.
Going back to the right to work fee and the 2% from our tribal schools, that's taxation with very limited representation. Very limited. I mean, the people that should be promoting the 2% are the people that are paying it. And if they're not promoting it, then why does it exist? Especially with our schools.
I'm sorry, Chairman. I think there was actually a court case on this, and I think the discussion on this should be saved for committee.
So, yeah, she's probably right, because we want to protect ourselves from the inevitable. So I'll save my recourse for committee action. Thank you.
Norm, pull them reins back.
Councilwoman Sears.
Well, I just want to ask a question about the diabetes, special diabetes program. I know you sent us a text regarding the award that was given, a partial award or some sort. My question is there any way that if we put the special diabetes staff or whoever's available that hasn't got jobs yet, to come back and continue operating those grants in order to keep funding the numbers up for future funding? Is there funding available for that, in the event that we're eligible to reimburse when the funding is approved?
Further at the bottom of that award letter that I sent in that text, it says that it's to reimburse expenses for since the program, or 24 and 25, right?
Yeah, we've been waiting for letters from IHS, but that officially says that we can get reimbursed.
For 24 and 25. It doesn't say anything about 26. So we need to, and to reopen the program. So I imagine that's good news that when we finish the 24 audit, that the 26, or not 26, but next year's grant can be applied for as soon as we reopen.
So I think for 2026 present time, they wouldn't be, even if they went back to work, that their letter does not say they'll be reimbursed.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify, because I think we're just waiting for an answer from IHS regarding that.
And I think you guys might have to come up with the process if you're going to hire the same people back, because the RIF is only for 1 year. So if you're going to do a waiver to put them back, or if you're going to make people apply for those positions again, there have been a couple of people who have resigned and are now working at other programs. So, and their date for that RIF was sometime in June, I think, or something like that. May, yeah, last year, so it's been past a year. So you'll have to refer back to policy, and I think that's a discussion that should be held at HHS.
Yeah, we plan on doing that then through finance, so thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Kelly?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. You know, looking at your report from the Native American Bank, we got about 384 sitting in that account. But if I remember right, we also put a freeze on that account, if I remember correctly, but yet it looks like, you know, as of, we're still spending out of it. One of my questions is, you know, if I'm looking at this at check 455, why are we paying John Deere Financial?
John Deere Financial is their gas charges at Pine Ridge Oil. And if you look at a lot of these checks, they're weird names and different types of not just marijuana expenses, but you guys also approved the youth budget out of the marijuana revenue.
Yeah,
so
but
their requests come through here too.
When I was running the program, it wasn't John Deere Financial. That program, that charge account was completely different.
Right, but now it's John Deere Financial.
But I also run heavy equipment and I run farm equipment at home. And some of this equipment I did finance, and that's with John Deere Financial. I don't ever remember them having a account set up just strictly for fuel.
They do now. Now, all of the programs that have an account at Pine Ridge Oil go through John Deere Financial.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, I think we restricted this account for no more distribution, but yet it looks like it's still happening to date. Then in the report, we've got a check in here, 389, which is not on the transaction history. I do have some questions on some of the, there's one individual that we paid 3 times that I believe is not a commissioner. There's one individual we paid a couple grand to that I don't believe he's on the marijuana commission. So why are we still paying these guys?
Like I said before, you guys approved the youth committee, the youth council, and you approved their budget, and their budget included assistance to activities. And if you have questions on what exactly they're spending the money on, then I think we need to call them in. Because some of these are questionable. I mean, I would think. But if they have minutes from the Youth Affairs Committee or the Youth Council, and their vouchers should explain why this money is being spent. But once you guys put a freeze on it, you also approved the Youth Affairs budget. I believe it was the next meeting later. So they approved their requests and send them through there.
I think you're wrong in saying that, and I think you misstated some information a little bit earlier that you had the authority to make large transfers or any transfers at all. But according to the Constitution, Section 4, funds which come under the jurisdiction or control of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, which is us, should be authorized. And as of last week, we were informed that $1 million was transferred out of one of the programs from a federal account into a general fund account. And you gave an explanation that they owed the tribe without any supporting documentation. And we had a long conversation over this because it's happening quite often. That grant money that was given to us was for a specific reason, not to go into the general fund. And if it was a debt that they had made, my question is, how does that come out to be exactly $1 million when some of the charges are going to be in the cents? I think you violated some policy there. And I just can't understand how it came to be. But I understand, because I've got people within my district of Wounded Knee that need a bathroom. Some of them need water hookups. But yet, we're stealing from that program to supplement the general fund. That I can't agree with. I got questions also, $50,000 went to the Prairie Ranch Resort using our 2% right to work fee. What I'd like to question is, can we get a copy of all wire transfers of all tribal funds? We would like to see that. I would like to see that. I get a lot of questions when it comes to the finances, especially from my district and beyond. The biggest one is coming from the schools. Some of them I can't keep up with. The hardest thing to answer them is, my understanding is Mr. Kelly, there's two different rights to work fees. One for the employees of the tribe and the other one for the schools, and the schools are getting completely left out. They're not getting anything in return. I understand that supplements the tribal education program, but look where we were at with several of our local boards. It's been issues. What have they been doing? And I do know I'm being asked, as a matter of fact, right now, how and where is that money and how much is it, and can it be returned to the worker or the school itself so they can invest in their own children? We also know we're not supplementing them with any assistance, but it would go a long way if we can't provide them school clothes. At least get them the basic necessities, the notebooks, the pads that they're going to need, the calculators, the supplies to keep them enticed. And on your report, you never put that on here. You know, once again, I'll go back and I'm going to compare this report to last month's report and the month before that. And I think, you know, and this is just my opinion, you know, I don't think you're perfectly honest with us. You know, looking at the bank balances, just last week, and I actually seen the document. You know, I'm just going to refer to the high tunnels because my community is interested in getting into growing their own vegetables to help the community members. But in this report, it has $15,933. When I looked at the ledger for that, there's only $3,000 actually remaining. So if this number's fudged, you know, I'm looking right there at the HUD locks. The month before this, we were in 2 million. Last month, we lost $1 million. I questioned that. And now we're right back up to 2 million. So, I do have some reservations. You know, we're looking at Lakota Prairie Ranch just 3 months ago over in Wounded Knee. Reconciliation was done and we were plus 120,000. Not just for the ranch, but that was for Oglala General. And today, in 2 months, and you missed a month on your report, you know, we're back down. Something is just not right. Like I said, you know, I think, you know, all transfers of any funding should be approved by the Finance Committee and the tribe in general, especially large amounts. It's scary. We don't know. You know, I was opposed to, you know, the money that you came up with, bond surplus for assistance. I couldn't endorse that. We got an FSA loan that we had to refinance for another 15 years. You know, that amount of money could have went and made at least 3 payments. But did we? No, we didn't. If we have that kind of surplus, why is it not going back into the bond to reduce that overall interest debt? I can't. There's no way I'm going to ever probably accept any of your reports, and I'll say that for the record, and to date I've only accepted one. But I just, you know, hell, I'm just going to say it, man. Last week, after hearing everything and looking at everything and nobody could give us any answers, I made a motion to file a complaint on the treasurer. And for the record, Kelly filed a motion, a complaint on Treasurer Whitehorse for neglect and malfeasance due to the audits. And the reason I did that is because this body gave you a directive along with the comptroller to use the 2024 money to get an outside auditing firm, and that's what the agreement was for. We, this body, agreed to that. But it didn't happen. So we're in a bind. That was free $200,000. And as of last week, hell, I'm to the point now where I'm looking like, man, where are we going to get the money to pay this damn thing back? Because we had the regional director down here, Mr. Hart, and he told us the exact same thing. I went as far as to say egregious acts of moral turpitude. That's going against what tribal council told you to do. And at some point, you told us we had a plan. And to this date, hell, I don't think I've ever seen that plan. Not unless some of you are privileged to it. I think, and I've asked during committee, what gives you the right to make these large transfers? I know the Constitution doesn't say that. But I also know we can't mix federal dollars with general fund dollars. That's hell, that'd be an audit finding in my eyes. Some of the stuff that comes out, and I can't figure out because, I don't want to argue with anybody here. I want to, come in and be in agreement and be on everybody's good side, and we're all going the same direction to try to clean up what's happened and what was handed to us. But hell, it's created so much turmoil within this circle. And that's the truth. I'm not well liked, and it don't matter to me. I still go home and I sleep good at night. But at least I sleep with a clean conscience because I ask these questions on behalf of the people. The directors are fed up with the direction that we're going. I'm always going to speak on their behalf. I feel bad, because some of the things that we've done, and I've been trying to push, a simplified system, this MIP system. Hell, I've seen it work. I haven't physically used it, but I've seen it work. I've seen these guys put in requisitions, have a voucher done by 2 o'clock, and then a check by 4 o'clock. But nobody wants to move in that direction. I think there's a lot of things we can streamline, but for some odd reason, we keep throwing up roadblocks. So yeah, I'm just going to throw it out there. I did make a motion, and that came from finance. I wish it was here today. I'm tired of getting the lip service over and over just to, appease a few. But like we said, it's been mentioned earlier, we need to see, and you told us, I'm just going to use the Prairie Ranch. Oh, we used that money to buy a grill. I remember last year when we first got seated, you said, oh, I used that money to buy a grill. So did we ruin a grill in 1 year? And if so, why do we not have a warranty? You know, hell, I got notes after note at home, and I didn't want to bring them today because that's a heavy binder. But I just, be honest, man. That's all we're asking. I don't feel like we're there.
So can I respond?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, if you don't remember, that first purchase, that big purchase, was for a walk-in freezer. The grill was purchased about a month ago, maybe 2. But, you know, these reports, I don't make them myself. I don't make them because I know that some of you are so traumatized by all this past embezzling and everything else. I know that you don't trust me. So when I put these reports together, I print this report off the website. I pulled the balances off First National Bank. I just print it. This is printed off of Native American Bank's website, including every single check, because that was requested. The revenue report is created by the Revenue Office. The general fund is created by Pete, who is the general fund accountant. So I don't make any single report. I just bring them to you. If you don't believe them, that's up to you. If you think it's because I made them, I didn't. So it's up to you. It doesn't matter if you trust me or not really, because it's still the truth. I make transfers every day. Every day. They're all the way from $354 about 2 weeks ago to probably about $4 million, maybe more, into COVID from the sweep account. There's some big transfers. There's a whole binder upstairs. You're welcome to go up there and look at them. That $1 million transfer I did, that wasn't even the full amount. Out of that account, and I'll just say it, the Oyate Wichozani account, there's 2 programs in there. One is FEMA, and one is Oyate Wichozani. There were no checks coming out of that account for over 2 years because the first payment that was coded in was coded wrong. After that, all the checks came out of general fund or Fed 1. So like I said, there'll be more transfers because we have to pay those other accounts back. That Oyate Wichozani, that account, emergency management had $900,000 in there. They've spent 700 and something. So they only have 100,000, a little over 100,000 left. None of it came out of that account. It came out of general fund. Those Oyate Wichozani payments for those bathrooms, they came out of general fund and Fed 1. So we transfer the money to make sure that the money is paid to where it was supposed to be paid. But even health admin, you see that negative balance, there's 2 health admin or master health accounts. When they draw them down, it goes into one account, then we have to transfer to cover the other account. It's a daily routine. We do it every day. So I don't know what is so wrong with it, but if you want to file a complaint, then do it. Do it because I don't really care. Huh? Was it? Okay. Because I work. I don't steal, and I have no reason to lie to you. Because most of the time, the truth is worse than a lie.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. Chair, I still got the floor, please.
Yeah,
you know, I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, it was reported to us just last week. One of your employees was on a bender and had the tribe's credit card. And then we've also got another report, and I know this for a fact because I've actually seen the tribe's credit card. one of our checks, several of our checks bounced. And it was like, oh, here, just take the tribe's credit card. You're the custodian. Hell, that should never happen. You know, we also seen documentation that...
Point of order. You know, this is getting out of hand.
We understand.
There's so much allegations going on. I'm calling for a point of order. Let's get back to the treasurer's report.
Mr. Kelly still has the floor. Go ahead.
You know, we understand, and we've seen documentation that was brought to us that you authorized the transfer to an office manager. I don't think that's their job to do. That is your job.
What kind of transfer?
Everybody that was sitting in finance had the opportunity to review that documentation.
What transfer?
The $1 million.
To an office manager? You mean to type up?
This I got a call point of order on. That happened in executive session.
Whenever transfers are done?
Hang on, we can't discuss this. That was brought up in executive session.
I'll let her answer. Go ahead.
Whenever transfers are done, my assistant or our office manager types them up. And then I authorize either my stamp if I'm not there or I sign it myself. But they type up the transfers, they type up any memo I need, they do that. And then I authorize it. And the credit card, I know that every single person in here has heard about checks not being accepted at Walmart, Sam's Club, Office Depot, the Walmart in Chadron. But they use systems like CheckSal, CheckRight, Checkmate, or whatever they're called. And if there's more than 5 checks in 1 week, they're considered fraud. So whenever they come back, and I have pictures of the receipts in my phone, they say, possible stolen or fraudulent document. So they'll bring them back, leave their items there, and then we'll send Jen with the credit card to go with them to get their stuff. We've done it for public safety. We did it for Courtney last week. We've done it for childcare, for property and supply, for elderly meals, for CHR, almost, and a lot of times for special ed. Well, special ed likes to come in and order it online and then we pay and they reimburse that Visa account. That's how that works. Because those checks, whenever they take them up, they get a TA to go after them, they take their check, they purchase their stuff, and then the check is declined because there was probably 5 other programs who got a check to the same store. So then it comes back as fraudulent, possible fraudulent, or stolen. We can't help that. We can't. Even though I've registered with each one of those places for indirect, general fund, Fed 1, BIA programs, they still come back. But I can't stop that. I have no control over those check verification companies. And believe me, I've sat in my office and argued with them. So we have no control over that. But the only 2 people who are allowed to use the credit card are Jen and Cheryl. And they use it in the office or they take it to the store directly and then they bring it back and put it in the vault. Nobody else uses it.
Done. Jeez.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
You know, I think a lot of this that's being asked of the treasurer is maybe a communication breakdown. And I think that it's really good to hear what your answers are today. But I think that it's really good and helpful to the Finance Committee when, if you're there, you could answer these questions. But when you're not there, you're not present, then when things come to us, you know, it really makes it hard for us to hear both sides of it. but I think it's communication breakdown. And I think that, I was, been in council for a long time, and I know we always expect the treasurer to be in our finance meeting. I think you know that because you were a council rep too at one time. You were finance chair. And so you know that we always wanted the treasurer of the tribe to be in our finance meetings. So I think that, when that happens, then we can address a lot of issues and concerns that are being asked today. The only thing that I'm going to say is that, we probably need to put something in place for wire transfers, and I think we're doing that today in our financial management manual. And we're going to make sure that we put something in there when it comes back, because we have some big concerns about big amounts of money that are being transferred out of federal grants and into general fund. It's still going to be a question and a concern of ours, as a tribal council and finance committee. So I have to, give some feedback on this. When that came to our attention, it really did bring up a red flag. But you say, well, I can do that. Well, in the Constitution, it says the treasurer is custodian of all funds. Maybe you fall back on that. But at the same time, we should have a process in place that says, how the treasurer is going to do wire transfers. And that's where we're putting it, is in the financial management manual. So we have safeguards so that whoever the next incoming treasurer of the tribe is, I hope you're listening, because I know there's a lot of ears out there, and you're probably gearing up to run for tribal treasurer. This time around, it's going to be elected by the people. The people are going to have a right to elect that treasurer of the tribe. And so, I'm hoping you listen and you question those candidates that are going to be coming in front of you to run for treasurer. And I think that we need to make sure that this treasurer understands that. That even though it's written in the Constitution of the tribe, and the people had a right when they put that in the Constitution, but we also, as a council, need to make it so that we put it in our policies, that the treasurer is going to make sure that wire transfers will come to the finance committee and to the council, especially when it's $1 million. We just can't have things being done that we don't know about until it comes to the finance committee. So I think for further future, things here, treasurer, I think maybe that's something that we need to work on, and we are working on it in the finance meeting. And I'm thankful that we did get at least 7 of the council that came, and president, HR, chief of staff. We had 3 directors there, actually 4 of them. And we did really get some good input. We really did. We got some good recommendations. So I think we need to just keep moving forward with that. But, these are really big concerns of ours. And I'm going to have to say Councilman Kelly, is right about all the things that he's asking, because it's our people that ask us these. And our people are upset that these things are happening just because of the way things ran in the past. And like you said, they're traumatized because look at how it was in the past. And they don't want that happening. And I think today, when we talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, today it's still happening. It's happening with our programs. And who's to be watching over these things? Who's to be making sure that these things are not happening? We questioned ourselves about that. Whose job is that? We have a comptroller. Right now today she's acting. We have a treasurer. We have a chief of staff. Who's supposed to be watching for all of this? That's the things we questioned ourselves about. So we need to make sure we fix things and put policy in place so that moving forward, we don't ever have this happening again. So that's all we want to say today, treasurer. But I do agree, we have to have something in place when we're making big amounts of wire transfers to and from accounts. That's the thing that we're concerned about. So I will have to share that today and say that we have to look out for our people, and when they come to do the bathroom renovations, I hope it don't short out any of our districts that need the bathroom renovations, and because we all have them in our districts and they're waiting, but I don't want this money to affect that, So I'm hoping that today I see that $2 million up again. I don't know how that happened, but, you know,
It's not up, it was 3 million.
Okay,
And then I transferred 1 million for the payments,
okay.
but there's going to be more taken out because I didn't transfer Fed 1 yet.
Okay, so could you maybe, Treasurer, bring that to the Finance Committee?
Yeah.
As to how much you're gonna be transferring? I think the Director of Utilities, I know he's probably listening, you need to be there too. And we need to get on this and make sure we know what you're transferring and how much, so he knows too. Because, you know, it is right, you know, Councilman Kelly is right, there was a complaint filed and passed by the Finance Committee, and the people need to hear it, you know, and it's not here today on our agenda. We were told that the attorney is working on it. She gave it to our secretary, and it was to go to our finance chair for review to come back to our committee. So I guess that's where it's going to come, but we still need to let you know ahead of time that these are reasons why we're not happy about how things are running. So I think it's really important that you always try to be at our finance committee meetings, or at least you're on Zoom and can answer some of these questions. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I've been sick a lot lately, but if I could get on Zoom, that'll work. Because most of my appointments are in Rapid or Omaha. But for the transfers, it's bank transfers. Those are different from wire transfers. They have different processes at the bank. So make sure you put those different in the financial management manual. Yeah. And then I think that there's really a lot to consider. I mean, you need to consider your source as well, but that's for another day. I had to. But, you know, one of my biggest concerns is that we have budgets and then we have finance committee. And we had our bond surplus that was going to come in, well, it should be coming soon, but it was spent before it even got here. Part of it was for assistance, and part of it was for to pay the veterans homeless shelter bill. And I think that you can see our balances right now, how negative they are. And we really need to take that into consideration whenever requests for different things come to Finance Committee. Because when you say we're going to help these people, then we help those people. Even when it puts us this far back. Because in the past, we had other revenue. We had other revenue that we could ask for. We don't anymore. There's no other, the tribe doesn't have any big businesses. The casino can't help us. Everything is way more expensive now. So you guys need to keep that in mind when you meet. I know you think we have millions and millions and millions of dollars, and we do. We do, but that money is all set aside for different things. Mostly not by us. It's allocated by the federal government and BIA to do different things. Those programs are supposed to provide the services. You guys are a government. We're not supposed to be social services. You're the government. You make the policy, you make the decision on policy, and you have CAP offices that should be helping individuals in your districts, and you have LEAP and social nutrition to help with elderly meals. You have all these other programs, food distribution, HIP, housing, energy. You have all of these programs that are there to help people and provide services. CHR should be able to provide rides because there's 2 in each district, I believe. So we wouldn't have to give the gas vouchers for everybody that has appointments. But we do. You'd be surprised how much gas vouchers we give in a day. In a day. There's so much assistance that we do, and I don't mind doing medical for people when there's emergencies, because I know that IHS will fly you somewhere and leave you there. But we also have a program that helps with that. They should be looked at first. Health Education has a non-emergent program that they do help with rides home. They do help with rides home. And everybody, even though they complain about our tribe and say how bad we are, when someone dies and they're not enrolled, if they're over 6 months old, their funeral will not be paid for if they're not enrolled. And people think it's not important, but you need to enroll your children. Having an enrollment number is almost as important as having a social security number. Because you have IHS, just in case, your funeral assistance. If you're not enrolled and you're 50 years old and you die, your kids have to pay for that funeral. Because you're not getting assistance. They're not paying for your casket. We need to encourage people to apply because we got a bill for a non-member, $7,000 for embalming, a casket, and the lady that brought it was an older lady, and she said, I never enrolled my kids because we didn't live on the res. Can you pay for this? And I felt so bad, but I had to say no. I had to say no because they were not enrolled and they don't qualify for our program. So you guys need to have your district members enroll. And I know that we don't get money by enrollment, we get money by the services that we provide. So if you need a service, you should make sure that your district members are applying for that service. HIP is always on the chopping block. Always on the chopping block. We have so many people who need help with homes and so many people who need help with home repairs. But you know how many applicants they get a year? Around 300. 300. We have that need in Pine Ridge by itself. Probably even twice that in Pine Ridge by itself. You need to encourage your members to apply. There's so many other programs. People gave up on energy because of the promises that were made and they never got their bills paid. So they come to the tribe and say, can you pay my lights because energy's not paying. We still need people to apply. We need to make sure that they're putting in their applications everywhere.
Okay, Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Thank you. I think very good conversation being had, and it's good for our people out there who are listening and listening to both sides or all sides. I believe as a tribe we need to decide if we are going to be a welfare organization and be great at it, or are we going to be an organization that brings growth to our reservation, because that's the issue at hand right now. Are we going to be a welfare program, or are we going to build economic development and sustainability for our reservation? Because right now we are in a welfare state, and I look at our individual council representatives' budgets, and you know, I can speak for mine. I spent the majority of my travel and my assistance in my district alone. And we have programs. I know it was said last month that there's millions of dollars in the tribe's account, but those are program services to the people that the programs offer, not the council representatives, the programs. And I believe we made an attempt to establish a resource office at the beginning of this administration, identifying that and utilizing our programs. However, we just couldn't get it off the ground because it didn't fall in line with our objectives in utilizing our programs first. So that's something we need to discuss as a body, in which direction we're going to go in, a welfare state or sustainability and growth. My question that was brought up regarding our checks is in HHS, Sam's Club had some issues, or they had issues with the Sam's Club check that was cashed, washed, and redistributed and it equated up to $22,000 in bad checks from Sam's Club. I know there's an investigation there. However, we wanted to address on Thursday if we have a plan in place to address that if it happens to us, to our tribe, because we know that that we do a lot of checks to Sam's Club, and that we want to ensure that our funds are protected.
John and, what's that lady's name? But the bank and the tribe, John is our reconciliation guy, he pretty much flags Walmart and Sam's Club because there's times when they get the check, they use it to purchase their goods, and then a couple weeks later, the same check comes through for repayment. So John watches Walmart, Sam's Club, any chain, just to make sure that that doesn't happen, because it has happened more than once.
Okay, so that's good to know that we have someone keeping a close eye on that, because that can turn into a detriment. And I have to agree with you that this circle, given the past circumstances and situations and actions by our directors, our staff, there have been some embezzlement and misconduct within those programs. So it leads this circle into a position of trauma and untrust and almost into conspiracy, because I heard a lot of what was being said that I've never witnessed in documentation or presented at a committee level. So that concerns me. At what point do we stop the rumor control and we utilize documentation? The complaint that they did address did have some documentation, and it was flagged and it was submitted for review to our newly established Inspector General. So those are things that are established that we need to entrust, and that we need to ensure that they do their proper investigative reports on. We can't keep going off of conspiracy and rumors and the trauma that the circle is just plagued with. As long as you can provide your portion of the documentation that the funding agency gave, the pre-approval, all of that, then there shouldn't be any concern with any complaint brought forward. If we're all doing the right thing when we make our decisions or we take any action in any environment. Because at the end of the day, like we discussed in our meeting this weekend, the people are the priority. These programs that receive the funding are for the people, not for this tribe. It's for the people out there. And we want to reach the people that are always unreachable, that live in those districts that are off-road, that never get those services. And that's what we're trying to achieve. So thank you. You both threw me off.
Councilman Greenwald.
Thank you, Chair. A lot of good discussion here today, and it just kind of opens my eyes into a lot of work that needs to be done on our financial side, and also, you know, the President, your office is entailed with the duties of the day-to-day operations, which I think is going to be more significant when this tribe moves to 9 council reps. It might require that finance meets a couple times a week. And it also means that, you know, a lot of times, and I know we all have big hearts and we want to say yes to everybody, that yes, we could give you all this, but I've been in the meetings, some of the meetings where the treasurer has said, you know what, we really don't have the money for that. But yet the committee will approve something anyways. And then you expect her to pull money out of her hat, and that's not fair to her as well. So I think what needs to happen too is a good working session. We've got 4 months left. We've got to prepare for whatever changes are coming to our setup. But our treasurer needs to be able to tell you what she feels needs to change, and we need to also expect, you know, what we expect of you at the treasurer's office. We got to look at it as positions, not as individuals, and make it personal, because whoever we're setting this up for in the future needs to have a good program to follow. On the president's side, you're entitled on a daily basis to make sure all 88 programs are communicating. We talk about the programs coming together every month, and they discuss things. oftentimes we throw everything on law enforcement's back. We throw everything on CPS, and we throw everything on maybe 4 programs. It's your job to create miracles here. When in fact we have 88 programs that could all be supporting one another, and to try to, you know, make the dollar stretch a little bit further, but we have nobody leading them, which means the president and the chief of staff need to start taking that head up from the future on, because without that head leading everything, it just gets discombobulated. Nobody's meeting with one, nobody's talking. It just sounds like that, even in here. The treasurer, I know, Cora, you've been through a lot of medical stuff, but in the future, when we're talking the next term and all that, we have to have it set up to where we could sit down and have some of them same discussions here that ain't scaring the shit out of everybody back home, because that's what happened to them probably just now when we were doing this, is we probably scared a lot of people. It probably made all these red flags, and it makes it look like all the theft is going on in the world, but in actuality, we're not communicating with one another. The right hand's not talking to the left hand, and it makes it look like we don't know what we're talking about. So let's get this together. I experienced that. I got a mileage check for like $100. I went to Walmart and they denied it. So I called that little number on there. It's a company from Florida. It's not even Walmart. And for no reason at all, except for they probably got more checks than what they, like you said, 5 or more checks. It denied mine. I went across the street and cashed the check somewhere else, you know. But I see what you're talking about, and I get it. I mean, across the nation, letting the people know across the nation every day, people are out there to try to steal money from any organization, from the federal government and us. We have the U.S. attorneys, the FBI came into us and visited us and told us that very fact. On a daily basis, people are trying to steal, either from your casino, from your tribe, from the U.S. government, or whatever. So we just got to prepare those policies, like Sonia said, to be ready for that when that does happen. But I want the people to be reassured that we have been, that our employees, our treasurer, and they're the ones that are catching some of this stuff that's going on. It's not your tribal council they're catching, it's program directors they're catching, program employees they're catching. And we will make sure that is being prosecuted to the fullest extent. We will not tolerate people stealing from our tribe. But let's come together before our term is done. Let's get this worked out so the next people have a good template to follow. The next group of individuals that are elected in there will have something good to follow. And we've got to learn how to listen to the treasurer and ourselves when we say no, there's just no money. No means no, we just don't keep spending, you know. Thank you.
Councilwoman Halverson.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Dave Kelly for the information that he did share and the questions and concerns that he had. You know, as council, we don't have access to the system, so we have to base what we are told by people telling us, because we're not shown documentation, we're not given bank documents, we're not giving anything. So those decisions and that communication that we have are what we're informed on. And I know you mentioned that we had to make a decision based on the source of who we were told from, but that source was somebody that's close to you, that's somebody that you trusted. And so when that person is telling us what's going on, you know, that raises a lot of red flags. And, you know, telling us things that are going on within the tribe is someone who's close to you. And so when we base our decisions, we have to go by that, you know. We were told that those grant funds from the bathroom renovations were being transferred to the general fund, but we were unaware of the extent of it, other than being told that the information that were provided from you, from the bank balances, wasn't reflecting the balances that they had in their accounts, which was, you know, less than $1 million. And saying that in these reports we're informed it's almost 2.3 million, and then we're informed no, it's not that. And so these bank balances that we receive as council, they're just written documentation. They're not from the actual bank itself. And so there's just no kind of accurate information that we're being told. And so those decisions don't come lightly. The information that we share is not lightly, it doesn't come lightly, but it just doesn't seem like there's any mutual conversations or any mutual respect between the programs and the tribe when it comes to money moving around, such as the HUDlocks information. And right now, finance, we meet every week. Finance meets every week. There should be no reason why we're not informed that there is specific amounts of money that are needing to move in different accounts, or any kind of authorization when you're saying that, when you as a treasurer are saying that there will be more transfers. It seems very aggressive, especially when you're telling us now, today, that you've been moving money in amounts of $4 million. And, we've never been informed those kind of information. From what I know in the past, when we've had to discuss moving money around specifically for school clothes, we had to make a decision at council to move money from a grant to the general fund to pay for those school clothes for the $1 million. And that had to come in resolution form for this council to make the decision that they made to approve that, which is now having to come back to us to find a reason how we're going to have to pay that back. It's the decisions that these council made to do that. But whenever I read the Section 4 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Council Constitution and Bylaws, Article 1 of the bylaws, duties and officers, it says, the council treasurer is a custodian of all tribal funds under the tribal council's control. The treasurer shall pay out money in accordance with the orders and resolutions of the council. Based on that language, for me, it seems like if the treasurer moved funds pursuant to a valid tribal council resolution or other authorized action, that would be consistent with the Section 4, such as what happened with the broadband money being moved to the school clothes for that grant funds to general fund. Based on these documents alone, it's showing that COVID-19, our bank balance is negative $3 million in, some change. I don't see an ARPA account, an ARPA balance on this report either. But from the tribe, our tribe received $310 million in COVID funds, $246 million in ARPA funds, $64 million in CARES Act funds, and to be negative $3 million, it says a lot that there's no control on the finances when it's in regards to that. We're being informed that the ARPA fund is paying for people's extra duty contracts, and we had to put a stop to that in committee. We're not sure what's being taken out of the ARPA account. And it's, people say that we shouldn't address this or we shouldn't say it. And we tell you, and we say everything in committee as well. And we have people watch our committee meetings now. It's not something that we need to be, hide about or, not speak about, because this is like the money that came to our tribe for the people. But for myself, I don't like that there's that amount of money being moved around with no transparency, especially maybe to the finance chair, or maybe she has been informed of that moving around of money or not. I don't know, but she's in that place. She could also be informed when you had to move money, but she's shaking her head. She hasn't been informed. But I did make a motion just so we can clarify this, and if it gets a second or if it passes, it does. If it doesn't, but I'm doing a motion that the OST treasurer provide written notice and a report to the finance committee as we meet weekly before any transfer exceeding $100,000 unless the transfer has already been authorized by tribal council through resolution. The report shall identify the amount, source of funds, designation of funds, and the purpose of the transfer. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Councilman Halverson. Well, second by Councilman Kelly. A question?
Just real quick, Cora, just for the purpose of the day-to-day operations, is that going to create any issues?
I don't think so. I could bring you guys the whole binder if you want to look at it.
Okay.
And then we can bring the form down before. Did you want someone else to sign it with me? You could put the chair of the committee on there. And they can sign the form.
I just think there needs to be some kind of written notice of the funds that are going to be transferred from one account to the next. That way finance can discuss it without, because right now we don't know where 4 million got transferred to. We don't know where it got transferred from. I wrote down that you mentioned it. Sometimes you transfer from a sweep account. I don't even know what a sweep account is. There was a mention that it comes from the Fed programs. I thought we weren't taking any money from these.
On the Fed programs, that's where all of the federal program monies go.
That's what I was aware of.
And then whenever the accountant coded those payments for the HUD locks, they either came out of Fed 1 or general fund. So that was a miscoding that we had to correct through transfer because those checks are already cashed. But if you want, we already have a form for bank transfers. We can add the chair of finance onto there. So whenever you meet, then they could just sign off on it and we could send that on Thursdays.
Yeah, I just like, as finance committee, that we also approve of those transfers, just so there's some communication there or some transparency happening within the financial system, because I don't agree with transferring of grant funding to general fund or, any of the federal funding going to general fund or any of the other information that was told to us. I can't sit here and say that that happened, but I also can sit here and say that you did today inform us that you moved that money. And so we just need to create a process where we're all on one page, we're all discussing it, we all have a transparency, we all have a financial responsibility to all of those funds.
And there is no real tribal process. That was a bank process. So if you want to add a signature, we can do that. That way whoever's chairing the meeting on Thursday can sign off on it after committee approves them, and we can send them in that day or Friday. Because that's a bank process. It was never a tribal process. So putting it in the financial management manual, I think is a good idea.
Yeah, we just need to have more communication from finance committee and the programs too, of some programs are like, we didn't know that we didn't have that money, or, just creating a better strategic plan on how things are moving financially within our tribe.
And that's the importance, again, of bank reconciliations. They need to come in and reconcile with their accountants. I would think I would want to do it on a monthly basis. It was recommended at Finance Committee this weekend that it be done on a quarterly basis. But I would think if you want to keep track of your program funds, because if that was done in this instance, they would realize that those checks were not coming from their account.
Yeah, I guess most importantly, I just don't agree with the treasurer moving millions of money from area to area without anybody knowing besides you and your staff.
Okay, we have a couple questions. Councilman Little White Man, Councilwoman Sears, Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Okay, I don't really, talk about it much, but, once upon a time, I was a treasurer's assistant, right? And then so when you guys talked about, having faith and, trusting your employees, I was one of those employees that reported wrongful doing. And then now they're looking at the big house now. So you gotta have faith and trust in your people to do the right thing. And then there's a bunch of employees up there that are trustworthy, but we like to run them down as a body. So, sometimes it's good to listen to them people that see the happenings, that see it with their own eyes, not hearsay from whoever, from somebody's brother who's a custodian there. It's from who sees it. And we witnessed it with our, firsthand witnessed it. So we reported it and got it taken care of. So sometimes it's all right to believe the people, the employees, because they're the ones that see it happening. Not secondhand hearing, but straight up are right there.
Councilwoman Sears.
Yeah, I think I just, when, Treasurer, when you was talking, you say things were miscoded. I think that's really something that we need to address, because it's, I know you said that there's two, under that grant, it's emergency management and, with the We Chose on a grant. But are they trained? Are they told
That
what
accountant
their
doesn't work there anymore. The one who miscoded it doesn't work there anymore.
I know, but whenever we have a new one come in,
Yep, they're trained.
yeah, they should be, because if this is happening, that's kind of something we gotta really watch, because, totaling almost $1 million, that shouldn't happen. That's what got you here to answer questions, I guess. So,
Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
Thank you. I think I agree with, I do agree with Councilwoman Halverson having a 2-signature requirement. That was part of our discussion this weekend as well. When we're discussing money, it only helps towards checks and balances, and I believe you agreed with that, Cora, when we had that meeting. I did forget to ask this during my time. I hate having to raise my hand again. Recently, Hofstrasse did send out an email. The Department of Interior, DOI, is reconstituting its Secretary Tribals Advisory Committee, the STAC, and we know that currently you are the representative for the Oglala Sioux tribe. However, they are looking for nominees from all regions, for BIA regions, and I know myself and the president did nominate ourselves. Sitting in that position, it has to get support of the council. So, sitting in that position, what are your recommendations? I know the more names nominated gives us a better opportunity at having someone selected. However, that doesn't put us into that position, because we would be competing against this region of the BIA, all tribes, who are nominating their representatives. Can we get some input regarding your opinion on this and nominations?
On the stack, you need to have someone who's going to stay in politics, who's going to stay on your council or an executive board member that will continue. Because they do, whenever you go to a stack meeting for DOI, they bring in the White House, they bring in HUD, they bring in everybody who works for Indian tribes, everybody. And it's really good if you're knowledgeable of what's going on or what your tribe's needs are. Learn your basic demographics and keep in touch with your council to figure out what your priorities are and what your actual needs are. Because the more you know, the better you represent. And when you're on stack for a region, you need to figure out what other tribes' needs are as well. Like the main thing when I was on was there was such a shortage of law enforcement and such a shortage for HIP. We were always trying to make sure that HIP would continue on. And that law enforcement piece is huge because it's not just law enforcement, courts, attorney generals, prosecutors, all of that into one. So the more you know, the better you can represent. And it's best to know your tribe's demographics and the basics of the tribes in your region.
So we know, and unfortunately, the term is coming to an end, and we only go by a 2-year. However, it's a tribal representative that needs to be nominated. So nominated from the tribes that are being looked for election or selection.
When are they doing the selections?
So July 30th is the date, close date. So that's
honestly,
your recommendations.
This secretary, he met with us once at the beginning when he was first nominated, and he didn't agree with us because he wanted everyone to go self-determination, and he didn't think we needed more law enforcement. He said we could just work with the FBI, so he brought in Kash Patel. And he didn't think we needed more IHS. He thought IHS provided too much for tribes. And he didn't really agree with, anything that was basically needed. And whenever we stated that we didn't agree with him, he didn't want to meet with us anymore. So we were more active during Deb Holland's term and during the new one, even though he's from North Dakota and he has an assistant who's a native, he didn't want to meet with us anymore.
So I guess my question, what is your recommendations for nominations? Because they are due July 31st.
I think if you want to apply, if you're going to nominate yourself or be nominated, I think that's a good thing. But you just need to make sure that you remember that you're not just representing Oglala Sioux tribe. You're representing all of the Great Plains region.
Correct. I believe that's what I sit as on the tribal council for the Government Accountability Office, and so I do represent our region here. So those are some things to consider. However, do you recommend both names be nominated? Do we support the president's request and his request to be nominated? That's what I'm asking.
I believe that most of the tribes will have a nomination. I think the more people you nominate, the better it is, because you'll both get interviews. They'll review both of your resumes. And I think that if you want to try it, you should try it. But it's up to the council to approve those nominations. But I think if you're going to have two of you applying, go ahead, because there's a primary and an alternate. And the good thing is they'll reimburse your travel to the tribe. So it's basically free time to lobby. My position on TTAC is also up. But they usually send out invitations for people to apply, or that's what they did to me. So.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to comment on that, and I know when you applied for that position there, it was more like beat me to the punchline, in that sense there. And we had this conversation with the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association on who should represent. The majority of them go with the tribal leader to represent them, because you represent the tribe as a whole. And you're elected that way. So we did have this conversation, and this was from some of the chairmen of the Great Plains region, that we did do our nomination, our last meeting, and I did throw my name in the hat and was selected by the Great Plains region to represent And I was gonna bring this up during my, report here, that, to throw my name in the hat. Because if you recall, last administration, yes, you are right. The Biden administration, they had people, they had a tribal liaison in each of the cabinet, so to speak, that helped tribes out, that communicated with tribes. But once the administration changed, that all went out the door. And this administration, like I said, is really hard to navigate because we get a lot of pushback. They step on our treaties a lot. And we have to constantly go up there and remind them of our stance. That we have treaty obligations in here. We're still fighting for mandatory funding. I believe that the pot of money they put aside for treaty tribes shouldn't be touched. It should just, as a matter of fact, increase. But every year, every administration that's threatened, when a new administration comes in, because they want to start cutting funding and they go after the tribes. You know, I might not sit on the stack or attack, but when we do go to Washington, that's what we push to the cabinets, secretary's office, whether it be Interior, USDA, and you know, all the other president's cabinets. So it is a huge responsibility. And I agree with the tribal leaders. We need tribal leaders in there that's going to stand up. And the Oglala Sioux tribe does that. Why do you think TBEC is changing? Why do you think we lead in law enforcement? Because we have the data to prove them wrong that they lack the treaty and trust responsibility owed to treaty tribes. So that's huge. That's why I threw my name in there again, because I know what's going on. But I just wanted to mention that. Go ahead, Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
You know, we're kind of getting off track here, but I think we need to understand that the council is the one that will appoint this position. And I think one thing is our term is almost ending here. I think November will be our last month that we'll be sitting in this circle, unless you decide to run again, and hopefully if you run, you'll get back in. And then you can decide if you want to be on SAC or be on these positions to move forward with the tribe, because it sounds to me that it's somebody that is going to be moving forward if you're involved in all of this. And if you're only going to be in here for about 3 more months and you don't get back in, then what's the use of it, you know, of you wanting to be on SAC and be on, because you don't know yet. You don't know yet if you're going to either be elected into your position. We don't know. None of us know that. You know, so if any of us are going to run for office this coming term, and then, you know, I'm just saying, you know, wish you a lot of luck, especially Norman. But I just want to, but I will say that, you know, that the position that Cora was sitting in, she just mentioned all of the things that it entails, but it should come back to us as a council to nominate. So if these two are going to, President and Councilwoman Spotted Bear are wanting this nomination, then maybe by tomorrow you guys can let us know why you want to run. Today you told us, President, and maybe she needs to tell us, and this council is the one that needs to nominate either one of them to sit on there, for 4 more months, I guess, you know, because I think it's going to be dependent on whether or not you get back in this next election. And if you don't get in, then who's going to sit in there? You know, do we have an alternate? We don't even know if the alternate's going to either get back in either. So we got to think about that, you know. So right now, I don't know why they said July 30th and they give us that deadline. And then our term is going to be ending in about 4 more months. So it's really hard to put somebody in there to do that, you know. And so I'm just going to share that. But tomorrow, if you guys want to nominate, you know, one of them, I think maybe that's something that we could probably talk about. Or maybe you might come back with a long list of what you want to run to.
There's a whole process that goes with that. There's a whole process. They select 2 people. They select the primary and the alternate. So that way, if your primary attends the meetings, the alternate is welcome to, but they don't reimburse them. Yeah, but if you're a primary and you don't get reelected, then the alternate comes in. Then they have to re-advertise it.
I think, so maybe tomorrow you guys could bring that up, but I sit on the TTAC for SAMHSA, but that was appointment by the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association. So like Cora said, I don't just sit on there for Oglala Sioux tribe. I sit on there for the whole Great Plains. And that's the way I have to sit on there too. So again, that's not through council, but it was nomination by the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association with the tribal chairs. So this must be a little bit different, but I think we better get back on track here, get on this agenda. Are we going to approve the treasurer's report? I run this motion that we just made, but Halverson left, and I think we need to get back on track, Chair.
Yes, I agree. And the nominations here, they're just for the Oglala Sioux tribe. It doesn't matter. We can vote whoever in there, but we might not make it to the next level. And the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's already nominated another chairman for the Great Plains. So just FYI, you can choose whoever you want here, but are they going to make it to that next level where a bigger group will select? Go ahead, Davey.
I'll make a motion that all of us sitting here get appointed then. No, I just said that.
All right, I'd like to see you up in DC. Okay.
I just feel like it's in line with her with the treasurer, because she was holding the staff position. There is an expiration date of July 31st to submit, understanding that we may not, none of us may sit in the circle next term, but we may not even make it to the next level, putting both of our names in that hat, but it's an attempt to represent the Great Plains region, and that's why I brought it up. Thank you.
Yep, we have a motion on the floor, so we're going to go ahead and run it. Secretary?
Donna Gosper? The motion was for, well, it's a lengthy motion, and I'll be referring to the recording, but in jest, it's just a resolution or a motion to have the treasurer provide a written report and process to the finance committee.
And add a second signature.
And well, it's a long one, so I was going to get it directly from the transcript.
So that's basically what it was, to add a second signature and take it to finance for bank transfers.
Donna Gosper?
Yes.
Anna Halverson? Troy Little?
Yes.
Craig Dillon?
No.
Lyle Weston?
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston?
Huh.
Bo Little White Man?
Yes.
James Cross? Julian Spotted Bear,
Yes.
Norman Standing Soldier,
Yes.
Tyler Lunderman, Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Blaine Little Thunder,
Yes.
David Kelly,
Yes.
Beef Randall. Yep. Richard Greenwald Sr. David Poyer.
No.
Thirteen yes, 3 no, 1 not voting, motion carried. Question, go ahead, Councilwoman.
I guess I had a question for the attorney. It sounds like the finance attorney, Georgette, received that information on Mr. Kelly's motion in finance, but it's not here today. Who brings that forward? Because from what I was told, I wasn't there at the meeting, but I was told that it needed to be here today.
Which motion are you talking about?
For the complaint on the treasurer.
I can respond to that.
Go
So
ahead.
I did reach out to Georgette this morning, asking her about the complaint. She said that she notified Lynn that she had written it up and she wanted the committee's review before bringing it forward. That was all I got from Georgette. So Lynn, and she said, I told Lynn to notify you, but I was never notified.
So Julianne, what did the committee say about it? Did they tell Georgette to do it at committee or bring it to council?
I believe the motion was, I actually wrote it down, hold on. If you give me a moment, sorry. The motion was to file a complaint on the treasurer regarding neglect of funds, malfeasance of tribal audits, egregious acts of moral turpitude, unauthorized transfer of tribal funds, causing turmoil within the council realm. And the complaint was supported. It was seconded by Councilman Standing Soldier. And then Georgette received the motion. So it doesn't state to what the next step is.
Okay, just following through with what the motion, because I thought motions come here Wednesday, pass in committee.
Right, so I'm just reporting what Georgette told me.
So that's kind of a new one to me. I've never seen a whole committee file a complaint. But typically, a complaint is filed by the person who's making the complaint, and if it's on a treasurer or a political appointment that's appointed by the council, it's filed with the secretary, and then it comes to council floor to address, and you guys decide whether or not to accept a complaint. So this is a new one for me. I'm not familiar with the committee filing a complaint.
Councilman Stanislaus.
So, what did we do for the last hour and a half?
Go ahead, Councilman. Were you done? Councilman Stanislaus? Yeah? Go ahead, Councilman Gosler. Councilman Gosler, did you have a question? Oh,
Chairman,
yeah.
I'd like to say a few words here. Council, I know sometimes you guys get on me for not calling point of order, and when I do, you guys get after me. When I don't, you get after me. But for example, a little while ago, we had the treasurer's report here, and we got off on a seat on another board. That's not connected to the treasurer's report. So if you guys could police yourselves, keep your comments limited, because we still have a lot of business to do. There's still people waiting in the wings to be heard. I know you're all council and you all get to say what you want, but let's try to keep it to a minimum so we can get this done and stay on track. Just once again, treasurer's giving her report and we go off into another direction there. So for whatever it's worth, Wopila.
Any other questions? Councilman Randall? Okay, yeah, let's take a little break here. It's been one heck of a day. So we'll take a 10-minute break, 15-minute break. We'll come back at 5.